Hello again and welcome to the 3 March 2017 edition of Portsmouth This Week, the voice of Portsmouth Town Hall. My name is Doug Smith, and our two guests this morning are Deputy Police Chief Brian Peters. Welcome back, Brian.
Thanks, Doug.
And Police Sergeant Maryanne Perry. Maryanne, welcome to the show. The Portsmouth Police Department is going to be holding another Citizens Police Academy starting next week, I think. I wondered, how many people do you have signed up, and are there any spaces left?
We do. We actually have one space that's available. We usually have about 10 slots that we have, and one person had, unfortunately, they had a scheduling conflict that happened last minute. So we do have one slot left, so we're hoping that if anybody's interested, they can send me an email and hopefully get on board with this.
Okay, could they also call the police department?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Okay. Call the main number.
Sounds good. So there is one slot.
There is.
I encourage everybody out there to think about this because it sounds pretty cool. How long have you guys offered this program? Doesn't seem too long.
Yeah, nope. This will be our fourth class. So we started back in 2014. We began this. So when Chief Lee came into town as the new police chief, this is one thing that he wanted to resurrect, and we began kind of a new campaign of trying to get community policing on board. We originally started this, Chief Seal was the one that originally began this probably close to 18 or so years ago. When we were first new and on the job. Chief Seal had this, and I remember being an instructor going in and teaching traffic laws and doing that. And then unfortunately just budget constraints and just time, it kind of faded away. And then when Chief Lee came in, it was something that we kind of brought back to life, and it's been a success so far. We think everybody's really enjoyed being there.
I think it has been too. What is the basic purpose of the...
Well, the basic purpose is we want to give citizens kind of a first-hand look at what goes on in the police department. I think a lot of people may drive by and they see the police cars and they see the police station. They don't really know what goes on, or they watch the shows on TV and they're like, you know, something that'd be interesting if I could see what goes on.
Yeah, why aren't you guys like Blue Bloods or something?
Blue Bloods, exactly. Yeah. So we try to have that, and we cover a lot of different topics that I think that they like and that we can, they get hands-on experience. So most of the classes that we have, it's not just a lecture in the classroom. We want to get them hands-on. So we have them where they can have the blue guns, which are like the replica handguns, where they can do a felony car stop, where we clear out the bays in the fire department. We bring in the real police cars. We bring in, and some people are acting as suspects. We have officers there that are the suspects, and we're teaching them how to do a felony car stop and getting the people out of the car and bringing them back and handcuffing them. And I think people like it. I think people see this on TV and they finally get to kind of participate in what goes on.
And then they see what it's really like, I guess.
What it's really like.
Yeah. Who are your instructors for this?
The instructors are the officers. So it's made up of the officers of the department, which is everyone. The administrators, detectives, the patrol officers, supervisors. We have 20 officers this year that have signed up that want to be part of this.
Okay, so the nice thing is that local residents, our citizens here, can get to meet the police officers that are helping them.
Absolutely, and I think that's one of the key things is, I think once the citizens have been there and afterwards when I get feedback, that's one of the things that they kind of realize that you have a bunch of great officers here on this police department. Yeah. And I think they may only see them when they're stopping cars, and they really don't get that one-on-one interaction. And then when they get that one-on-one, they really get to realize what a great bunch of officers we do have here and how knowledgeable they are. I think a lot of people think that Portsmouth is the sleepy town, and when they come in and they realize that, hey, this is great. I mean, our officers are really well-trained, they're knowledgeable, and they're prepared to be the first responders to any incident that could possibly happen. Heaven forbid what it would be, but they're prepared. And I think when they come out of that, they realize that, you know, they're impressed. They come up and tell me how impressed they were, that they weren't realized how great a job the officers do. Yeah,
I think too, the difference in perspective, you know, from the outside, like you say, we're geared to TV series and things like that, and it's different inside. And I think too, the other thing that probably is eye-opening is, one, the technology, but also the level of professionalism that you have to exhibit when you're a police officer.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Well, can you talk about some of the topics that are covered in this program?
So besides the first thing that we do, you know, I mean, is we're giving the tour of the station. So a lot of people have never even been in the police station. They walk in and they have that small lobby, and that's as far as they've ever been.
Of course, it doesn't take long right now.
It doesn't take long, absolutely. But we bring them through the tour of the station, and then we let them see the insides of a police car. A lot of people haven't even seen that. So that's kind of like the first step. And a lot of them, we have different things in our car. We have the stop sticks where we can throw out if you know, during pursuits in our computers, and we go through and show them the different tools that we have in the police vehicles. And we go into different weeks where we talk about doing traffic stops and just the basics of traffic stops and how we're stopping the car, what we're looking for on a traffic stop. Going into the more serious felony car stops where we're aligning the police vehicles, why we have to position the police vehicles, why if they're driving by, they have to stop on the road and they can't go on as civilians because we have the whole road shut down. So we kind of explain those things. We go into DUI enforcement where usually they get a kick out of it that day because we have the DUI goggles where we can simulate just by wearing those goggles.
You try to walk down a line and you're moving.
Absolutely, absolutely. So we teach them about going through the field sobriety tests. We have use of force where we go through our use of force continuum and the use of force procedures where we show them the tools that we have, and we actually let them, one of the newest tools that are available to police officers are the tasers. So we actually let them fire a taser in class in a controlled environment.
Now they don't have to get shot at like you guys do,
They
right?
don't. No, they don't. They don't have to do that. So, but they all enjoy that. I mean, that's
do all police officers have to be tased to see what it feels like, or anything?
No, they don't have to be. But all the police officers have to be sprayed with the pepper spray, so you know how to work.
Yeah,
that,
but tasing sounds kind of tough to do.
So we do let them fire the taser. We also set up the mock crime scene, which they seem to like. All the shows now are kind of geared towards that, and we kind of go over the CSI effect. You know, they watch the show and they think that in 30 minutes somebody can solve a crime and get the fingerprints and the perpetrator goes
just
to
like
prison.
on TV.
Just like on TV. So we go through that, and I think that's great. We've used the town hall council chambers, and we've set up a crime scene there where we have a body and different evidence that they have to go and find, and I think they really like that. They lift fingerprints. They got to find the evidence around and look for clues. So that's something that they enjoy. Part of it we also do is accident reconstruction, where we show them what we're looking for on constructing an accident, and we just try to do we try to make it enjoyable. So like they have a good time, but they're learning. And plus that one-on-one interaction with the officers is a big plus.
What about firearms? Do you actually have folks shoot a gun? Or?
We actually do. So
that's kind of scary.
It is. It is. We have under control. We have our range behind the police station. So we actually bring the citizens down there and let them fire a couple of rounds into a target. Nobody should be nervous. Nobody has had to, if they didn't want to do it, we haven't told them it's part of it. But it's just something, an opportunity for them to do. And a lot of people haven't fired a firearm and are interested in doing that. And we let them do it. There's usually 3 of us right around the person, so to make sure that
it's kind of a shock if you've never fired a gun before, what it sounds like and what it feels like.
Absolutely, absolutely. So that's a part of it, doing the firearms, and we also, you know, I mean, we teach them about different other things, our recruitment and hiring process. With some of them, we have a few this year. This group, I think we have a few young individuals.
Good.
A lot of them are there because they want to know what it's like to be a police officer. So we go through our recruitment and hiring, what we have to do. But overall, I think it's a good experience that they have. Yeah.
Now, how many alumni of this program are out there?
We have about 30 now from our recent classes.
You said, 10 per class.
10 per class, so we have about 30. If we look back for years ago, I think there was probably at least maybe about 3 classes back then. Yep.
Really?
Yep.
Yeah.
She was one of them, so it came on to become one of the officers.
All right.
It was part of it, so it's great, and you know, we like it, and and hopefully, as so far so good that the citizens really enjoy it.
Yeah. Well, I assume the response from people that have gone through the program has been pretty good. I mean,
absolutely,
you know,
absolutely. Most of them at the end they want to say, "Can we keep doing this? Can this keep going?" I'm like, you know, I'm sorry, you know, we don't have anything scheduled for next week, but they want to be there for that 11th week and the 12th week, and It's great because we've been able to keep
Yeah.
in touch with a lot of
Yeah.
them that have graduated.
Yeah,
so
sorry, but it's got to come to an end. We can't keep doing this forever,
keep
right?
going, doing it forever.
Yeah.
But we've kept in touch with a lot of them afterwards, where they'll come in just to say hi, or you know what I mean. It's nice to have that face when something happens, or when there's an incident. You see someone and they know us and we know them, and it's something that we can exchange information, and that's the great part.
And that's something that's tough to do unless you have a program like this. So
Absolutely.
I think you guys did a great job bringing this thing back, and I think it's really useful for everybody. I've been on the police website, that's part of the town's website, and I see some photos from previous classes. One of the ones was Rich Talipsky holding a gun behind a car like he's on Blue Bloods or something, which is scary to me. But it looked like every one of these pictures, people were having fun, they were enjoying themselves, and I'm sure they learned something. So.
They do, yeah. We try not to, you know what I mean, we try not to, we want to make certain that they realize that we're human beings, that we're out there with them, that we're not a separate group, and part of that is, you know, we have a good time. We want to enjoy it, and we want them to laugh. We want them to enjoy themselves, and that's what we want it to be, a fun experience where they learn something, and that's the whole point of it, is just having a good time and getting something out of it. Now,
I would imagine these courses are going to be particularly popular when the new building opens, when you get your new police building.
I think so. I think that'll probably be when they open that. I think that'll, hopefully recruitment will go up. I mean, that's why I know we have one opening right now. So we had huge numbers in the beginning, but I think as time went on, you know, I mean, maybe we weren't getting the word out. So that's why I wanted to come on your show and make certain that people know about that, what's going on. And I think if you reached out to anybody who graduated, they would say that it was a good experience, and hopefully they got something out of it.
Yeah, that's not a bad idea. In fact, we might want to try to grab a couple of your alumni from this class coming up and have them on the show and say, you know, what do you think? How did you enjoy it and that kind of stuff.
That'd be great.
One of them is you, right, Maryanne?
It was a long time ago.
Well, but that's okay. Is that the reason you kind of joined the force?
It helped, yes. It definitely gave me an idea of what to expect.
Yeah, good. So these things are really valuable, and right now you only do these once a year in the spring.
We do.
Is there any thought to eventually perhaps doing another one, a second class in a year?
We've thought about it, especially originally when we were getting big numbers of applicants, and the problem is just kind of like time constraints. We don't want to burn out the officers who are teaching and being there, and also we want to make certain that we keep the interest up, where we don't train, you know, I mean, 20 people or so a year, and then it doesn't keep going. We want this to be something that lasts. And
also, I guess all the officers that are participating in the program are also doing their regular job.
Yes.
So it's
and they're volunteering for this. So I send out an email asking for volunteers, and within minutes you get 20 of them that have come back that want to be part of this, which is great. You know, I mean, the officers really care about this and want that.
Now, how can people find out more about the program if they considered, you know, getting in this year or next year?
Sure. We usually do the announcement is in January. So in mid-January is when it originally comes out. So if they're interested,
does that go on the paper? Or
yeah, we usually the Portsmouth Times, the local paper, would have that. We also have it on our website. So if you go into the police department website, there'll be the Citizens Police Academy, and we also have the photographs that you talked about.
Facebook page.
Facebook page, so they can see what happens. They can look at these photographs and see if that's something that they'd like to do. We do have one of the restrictions is that we want to make certain that they don't have any felony convictions. So if you have a felony conviction, unfortunately, you won't be able to be part of it. But so we do run a background check on someone coming in. Just because you're going to be having a firearm and a taser and in the police environment, that we want to make certain of that. But absent of that, we want Portsmouth residents, Portsmouth business owners to come and be part of it.
I imagine that a lot of eyes are opened about your current police station and the condition of it, particularly the cell block. I mean, you know, you guys don't really have a lot of room for a lot of serious criminals. What do people say when they've seen those cell blocks? And
I think they're surprised. I think most people, when they drive by, it's something that they have it in their head what it looks like, and then when they get in there, they kind of can't believe that it's almost like taking a step back in time. Like
I thought the one that interested me was that padded cell you have. That's kind of very strange, you know.
I don't think the new building will have the padded cell.
Yeah,
I think that's
good. I look forward to seeing that. Maryanne. let's go over to you, and I know you've been the focal point for the police department locally with the state police accreditation program. Before we get into that, could you talk a little bit about, you already have, a little bit about your background and how you get into the police and where you're from?
Sure, I'm from Portsmouth, born and raised, went to Portsmouth High School. After that, went to Rhode Island College and studied telecommunications, film and television. I guess my last couple semesters I started focusing on law enforcement. Thought that'd be something interesting to do. My grandfather was a police officer in Middletown. So I just started taking classes, and once I graduated from RIC, I started trying out local departments and went through the Citizens Police Academy. Actually, I was an intern too with the police department in Portsmouth.
Oh, we have interns as well, huh?
We do.
How many of those do we have?
We usually have one per semester that comes through from the local colleges.
Okay.
Or BCC.
Well, that's pretty
RWA.
cool. So you really get a sense of what's going on then.
Absolutely. And I tried out for Portsmouth and got hired, and I've been on for 18 years now.
Wow, 18 years. That's great. Obviously doing well. Let's talk about the accreditation for a second. I think this was kind of a big thing for Portsmouth. We're very proud of all you guys, by the way, for what you did. But I wonder if you could talk a little about it. I know you were awarded accreditation a few weeks ago at the there was a ceremony at the Portsmouth Town Council Chambers. Can you talk a little about the process and how you get accredited and why would you want to be and all that kind of stuff?
Sure. It was basically a 3-year process, which involved a lot of rewriting of our old policies because we had to comply with their 200 standards that they have. The standards address the most important issues in law enforcement, from high-speed pursuits to how we communicate on the radio. Once our policies were up to date, we needed to show that we were adhering to them by providing a proof of compliance. A proof of compliance could be a police report, police log, a photograph, a newspaper article, showing that we are doing these things that we're supposed to be doing.
Yeah.
And these all go into a file. So in October, the team of assessors from the RIPAC Commission came down. They looked through our files, checked all our policies, and ultimately we were awarded the accreditation.
Yeah. Now who comes up with the standards and how does that work? I mean, who is the accrediting body here?
It's the Rhode Island Police Chiefs Commission. They all got together, and there's also a national committee, so a lot of them were taken from the national standards, and then there were maybe 20 that were just Rhode Island-based standards.
Okay. Did you have to have any training yourself in these things?
I did. I went through a class, yes, with the RIPAC committee.
Okay, and how to do one of these things?
Just explaining what a proof
Yeah.
was and how to write a policy. And
Okay, now, what does this achievement mean for the town? I mean, obviously it means you guys are working at a high professional level, et cetera.
exactly. It just shows that our town leaders and our citizens that we are a professional police department. We're acting in a professional manner, and that, you know, we are up to date with all the best practices in law enforcement.
Yeah, and those are put together by the Police Chiefs Association
Yes.
of Rhode Island. There is a website, I think, that people can go on. If I think it's up on the screen right now, and you can see some background to this accreditation process. It sounds very interesting, but it's much more than just a paperwork drill, right? I mean, it's got to do with actual policing.
Right.
Do you get any assistance or anything, like training or anything from up in Providence or from this association, or do you do everything in-house?
Mostly in-house. Yeah, it's mostly in-house. Just that one basic training. I've gone to conferences. We've had one in Rhode Island this year, and I went to the Massachusetts conference as well. You learn a lot of networking and sharing policies and what other departments are doing.
Are there how many other towns, I guess, in Rhode Island are accredited?
It's actually, there's 47 agencies that could actually go into it, including colleges, the airport police. But of the 47, we were the 19th to be awarded the
Okay,
accreditation.
so less than half of those enforcement
Right,
agencies.
and this
out
just started in 2013, so
Yeah.
it's a long
there. Now,
process.
do you think this is a trend that's going to continue? That
Absolutely,
People will constantly be.
absolutely.
Are there any advantages to the town in terms of grants or anything else that might?
Well, it increases public confidence. It decreases
True.
litigation.
Yeah.
It reduces liability costs. And it also improves morale in the department too.
Yeah, I guess everybody knows that they're operating on well-known standards and
Right.
things. How do you go about starting this process? You were there from the beginning, so how did you get involved at the beginning of this thing?
For our department, you have to go through an application process to
Okay.
start with the RIPAC committee. As far as myself
Yeah.
doing it,
I'm just thinking, as the person at the Portsmouth PD that's been tasked with putting this together, where do you start?
I think it was a group of us that kind of started together, just rewriting our policies to improve our department, and it just kind of went from there.
Okay.
The others retired, and I'm still here. I still have a couple of years to go.
I think when we get on the job, it was maybe 3 policies that we had.
Right,
So
just
we
the
had,
basics.
you know, I mean, a use
lot
of
of
force
paperwork to
policy
do, yeah.
and a pursuit policy. That's all we had. So we had a couple of policies, and now we're up to, what is it, about couple hundred.
A couple
around
hundred
there.
policies
So,
now.
Yeah.
And that's the difference. So there's standards now for everything, whereas before it was kind of just word of mouth and your individual training.
Now, a big part of this has got to be training of the officers, so that it's not just a paperwork drill. We have to put these policies into effect. Do you all have continuous training programs at the Portsmouth PD?
We do. We have a training officer that is in charge of that,
Okay.
putting everything together, making sure the policies are
Yeah.
up to date, and as well as
Well, because I guess one of the questions would be, okay, you guys have rewritten you got the policies documents up to date. I think the next question would be, does everybody in the police department know all these policies? Are they pretty much up to speed on this
they
stuff?
do. Yes.
Yeah, well, it's great.
Absolutely. And then each policy has its own standards. So you might have to have training on a certain topic once a year or twice a year or every other year.
Yeah.
So that gives you it's the mandatory training to make sure that we're in compliance and that we have those high standards.
Yeah, and you all are broken down into different jobs and things, like you have a training officer, et cetera. And I assume the training officer is a big part of this accreditation process thing. When they come in, when the state accreditors or the people come in to actually look you over, do they call in officers and quiz them a little bit, or do they follow them around?
They'll interview them. They'll ask them a few questions. Yeah, they definitely do.
Yeah. So it's a good process, and it gives you guys in the leadership positions a good feel that your officers are up there with the big guys and following the right kind of procedures and
Absolutely.
things. Now, as I understand it, this thing has got to be renewed every 3 years. How do you start working on that? Probably day one of the 3 years.
I've already started in 2017. I'm already looking for the next proofs for this year.
Yeah.
And-
And what do? Do you start going back and make sure the training's up to date? And
Yeah, everything needs to be scheduled. The trainings, yes.
now, how often do these requirements or these policies and things change? Are there changes that come out and you get notified that?
Exactly. We'll have a meeting. The RIPAC committee will have a meeting. We get together, and the latest one is the use of force policy. That will probably be tweaked a little bit.
Yeah. Is there any policy relating to cameras yet in Rhode Island? Wearable cameras on police
I
officers?
believe Providence Police is working on a policy. I think they're wearing them now,
Yeah.
but I don't.
So that might be something coming down the road to be a change
Right.
that you'd have to deal with. Are there any other accreditations or stand in the future besides this? For example, is there any federal accreditation that would
Yes.
be worth getting?
The national CALIA, we would definitely like to go towards that, but we would definitely need to be in our new building too.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I'm
part,
sure.
of, part of the process with CALIA, the national accreditation, is you have to have certain standards in your building. You have to have it where the cell block is a certain size, and you can't have any other. You have to have fire suppression. You have to have where the prisoners, in the event of a fire, can be automatically released from the cell. There's a lot of different standards that just our building wasn't able to do it. So,
Yeah, well, our building's pretty old.
yeah, so hopefully with the new building, then we would move on to the next level. I know that's the goal and where the chief wants to, the direction of the department.
Now, I would think too that if if you all are looking for grants for, say, training or to buy equipment or something, that being accredited would give you kind of a leg up. You could put it in as your grant application. Hey, you know, we're accredited with these outfits, and I would think somebody would look at that very favorably. So that's a monetary reason why you'd want to be
Absolutely.
accredited. Yeah. So now I guess the main thing going forward is making sure that these standards are continued and upheld within the department. Is that part of your job, or is that just generally the leadership's responsibility?
Yeah, we have to make sure that all our supervisors are on top of it and making sure that their subordinates are.
In every report, I mean, I know people, it's a complex process because every report, every log entry, we have to make sure that's all in compliance. So it's, when some of our younger officers are getting on, we have to train them to make sure that they know these standards and they comply with these standards.
Yeah.
So that's part of Sergeant Perry's responsibility and all the supervisors, but she oversees that to make sure that these reports are followed, that you know, prisoners are seat-belted in, that they're documenting that in the report, and all the different standards that we have that they're complied with, because it's one thing to have the policies in place, but it's another thing to actually comply with those policies and
Yeah.
make sure the officers are doing it.
Now, I'm not clear exactly how you get people coming into the Portsmouth PD, and I think there's a police academy, I understand, in Providence. Do you all send folks to that, or will you?
Well, there's two separate police as far as the training of initial officers.
Yeah, the new officers, yeah.
Yeah, so we have our own, the Municipal Training Academy. It's everybody in the state with the exception of Providence and state police. So they have a Municipal Training Academy that works out of Camp Fogarty in East Greenwich, as well as CCRI in Lincoln.
Okay.
So that's where we send our brand new officers, where they go there for the academy for several months before they get even on the job.
Okay, but so they would be taught these procedures and standards, I would assume, right?
They're taught overall basic police, you know what I mean, functions and police rules, and but we're responsible for our own policies because everybody won't have the same policies if they're not accredited. So they don't go over
Yeah.
policies at the academy. That would be our responsibility. So when they come back, their first 2 weeks at least, when they get back into the building, they think they're going to go out and start stopping cars and doing
Yeah.
police work. They're reading. They're going over policies. They're making sure that they know the policies and that they're proficient in all of them.
Okay, so the basic training for a newbie then would be some kind of a academy for a couple months to learn general police skills.
Yes.
And then they'd come here and learn specific things from Portsmouth.
Absolutely. So it's about 20 weeks, I believe, is the
Yes.
is the municipal academy. So the municipal
Yeah.
academy, they go for 20 weeks, and that's where they learn everything: use of force, criminal law, state law, traffic law, all those procedures that they're trained in, DUI enforcement. So all that
Yeah.
original training comes from the academy, and then we have where they come in and learn our policies. And then we adapt them to our own procedures, our own rules.
Yeah.
And then we have a 12-week, it's called the FTO period, where you're with a field training officer. So that's when you see, we don't have two-man cars or two-officer cars here in Portsmouth, but when you see somebody with two officers, that's an officer being
with a
trained.
trainee. We're out of time already, Brian and Maryanne. Thanks so much for coming on. And I got to tell you that congratulations to you and all the entire police force for doing this. I think it demonstrates the high level of professionalism that we've come to expect from you guys. So from a citizen, thank you very much for all your work. Thanks for joining us today.
Thank you, Doug.
Thank you.
For our viewing audience, the Portsmouth Historical Society and the town of Portsmouth will celebrate our Founders Day next week at with a public display of the 1638 Portsmouth Compact at our town hall. That's going to be next Tuesday, the 7th of March, from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m., and it's open to the public, and please join us for a very rare look at this historic founding document of Portsmouth. Thanks for joining us today, and I'll see you next time on Portsmouth This Week.